Morning, everyone. Just want to run through my presentation today. The title is Capacity to Improve the School and Lead Change Through Effective Evaluation. My name is Dr. Paul Walton, and I hope you enjoy this presentation. So an effective evaluation definition as a starting point is to look at the process of judging or calculating the quality, importance, amount of value of something. On every slide, I'm going to have a little reference in the bottom. So the starting point is looking at evaluating a new or a different school. This could be applicable to anyone, somebody joining a new school, somebody visiting the school, somebody interested in developing into a senior leader or a leadership team looking at evaluating a whole school against a set of criteria. This is a set of criteria that I've created over time. The 6 priorities to start change management, and that little asterisk is a little note, a little aid memoir for me to go through a few things. And basically at this point, what I'd like to share is that all of these priorities have been created by me, and they come from I guess a wealth of knowledge or experience in a school environment. I work as an inspector for 2 institutions, and I've been a principal of 4 schools now, and been in leadership for 18 years. So using that background, that experience, the opportunities to visit many international schools, and being a kind of a current leader, I've put all of that expertise into practice to come up with 6 key priorities, and I'm going to go through this and give you lots of examples and lots of advice. And again, feel free to contact me. And at the end of the presentation, I'll share my details to do that as well with you. So basically, evaluating a school, this is what I look at when I go into a school. Many different areas, everyone has their own opinion, everyone looks at different things, but I look at kind of 6 overall areas. And depending the different type of school that you've worked at, you might look at some of these kind of areas and think, actually, when I worked in a school, we had that, or we had, 1, 2, and 3 or 4, but we didn't have all of them. So as I talk through these, some might resonate with you depending on the type of school that you work at. So the first one to start off with the quality of education. When I go into a school, I look at previous inspection reports. I look at obviously the strengths, weaknesses, opportunities, threats from a kind of a SWOT analysis, strategic plans. I look at the expectations, timeline, performance, formal, informal observations, website, and then obviously curriculum and so forth. So I look at the overall evidence for the school. Many of these things you would look at as an inspector. Some of you from the UK, these are some things that you would publish online, and that you would make sure that they tell the story of your school before Ofsted visit the school, or even internationally. These are kind of touch points that anybody can see. Anybody can download an inspection report. Anybody can look through your examination results, or look at your website, look at the performance, look at the strategic plan. All of these things are quite visible, and they tell the story of the overall quality of education of your school. The second part is finance and growth. Sometimes you might have been in a school, you might be at one now, where financially, the school has a lot of money, or you are growing quickly, that you feel there's a buzz of an investment into different facilities, resources, lots of excellent spending to improve the learning for students. So finance and growth is obviously one that I pay attention to when I come in to evaluate a school from a personal point of view, because this then can make life a lot easier to then develop other areas. So, for example, if you have a school that financially is in a good position, you can then improve the quality of education, you can improve the facilities, you can improve hopefully the outcomes by hiring teachers, investing in the learning of the school. Quality assurance, finance helps to start the pathways through accreditations, awards, and so forth. So finance, number 2, is really important, because that's an area where if I was joining the school, I'd want to know about the financial position of the school. Number 3, facilities. when evaluating a school, looking at a school, I was looking at the facilities, and I've visited schools previously where the facilities are wonderful, but obviously the school is at the start of a journey, and it still needs time to invest in the quality of teaching and learning in the school. It still needs to build that reputation, that legacy of examination results, of alumni, of kind of that international standing. So the facilities can be kind of outstanding, amazing facilities, and can draw in other areas of this list. But there are a lot of schools out there that have wonderful facilities, but are really new in their journey and new in their kind of reputation to build that going forward. On the flip side, you might look at this list and think, actually, the quality of education in a school that I know very well is wonderful. Financially, we're in a great position, but facilities, we don't have the facilities that we really want. We'd like to have another court for basketball. We'd like to have indoor areas. We'd like to have a swimming pool. We'd like to have different kind of technology areas and so forth. So again, facilities is a key area, looking at where, at a snapshot, where the school is in its journey. Student outcomes, again, this is a very, very, very important kind of area to look at, because the first three all build up to student outcomes, the most important part of the school. So looking at the holistic approach, evaluating the school, does it really do what it says it should do? In other words, I mean, are there mechanisms and strategies in place? Can you see evidence for holistic development with social development, emotional development? What's the support network like for social and emotional development? Is the pastoral team strong? Are there good systems in place? Are there good case studies and examples of how they've supported students? Learning support for students as well. And again, in student outcomes, it isn't just holistically, but also looking at university placements, student surveys. Are the students happy, and what are the students saying? Is there a data point? Instead of just saying, yes, our students are very, very happy, do you have the evidence to show that? And could you explain 2 or 3 things that different age groups or different groups of students want the school to improve on as well? So looking at that annual student survey. Academic outcomes, again, a kind of a measure that can be used like for like against the schools, similar skills in similar students. Progress from starting points, it's a huge kind of point that I look at, evaluating the school based upon that value that you add to students. So looking at where they started, the value that you add to the students through their experience at school. And again, there are lots of measures you can create to show that. And as I mentioned, like for like against other similar schools. Quality assurance is another area that I look at evaluating the school. Again, it isn't about just collecting kite marks and logos. It really stands for something. And I think that it's an area of schools that sometimes can be overlooked or underappreciated. If you achieve an excellent accreditation, then that's a quality assurance stamp that shows internationally, or it shows that you have met, or in some cases exceeded, the criteria to be a quality educational institution. So for me personally, I think that it's an excellent kind of area to look at through evaluations, looking at the accreditations in place, accreditations for curriculum, accreditations for the use of maybe IT, eco accreditations, groups of schools accreditations, and then, as I mentioned, inspections, the quality assurance of the governance, policies in place, many of which should be on the website for you to access, but also the internal policies, examinations, the curriculum, teaching and learning quality, what is the quality assurance mechanism behind that, and then obviously the enrollment growth, and then the other surveys, the staff surveys, the parent surveys, along with the student surveys that we mentioned as well. So that gives you a real kind of detailed data point across the entire school. And then finally, the 6th area that I've kind of come up with is community. This again, I think will resonate with a lot of people, where you could be in a school where the community are very, 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 very strong, but financially you don't have that investment, or facilities-wise you don't have those premium facilities, but the community, the kind of pastoral care, the student outcomes, and the quality of education are superb. So again, this might resonate with a lot of people as well. On the flip side, community is something that needs to be built. Those relationships, those connections and trust need to be built over time. So again, community is a huge area of any school when looking at it, because it can directly link to, as I've mentioned, staff retention, development, parental engagement, and it isn't just about the surveys, or the kind of the feedback. This also can be noticed from the parental engagement, such as events, performances, big occasions at school, charitable causes in service learning, how are kind of engaged and how kind of visible are the parent body in the school. Do they all get together for a certain cause? Do they all kind of raise money for a certain charity and support each other as well? So I think that's a really good area to kind of to get an understanding of a school, and also that feeds into word of mouth. And I think that a good question for you to kind of to ask maybe some colleagues as well, as what is the main kind of form of advertising at school. And some of the schools I've been looking to be principal at, certainly word of mouth is in the top one or two, if not the top of all of the schools. So that word of mouth is important, and the community is one of the biggest factors that feeds into that as well. And obviously, when you're looking to improve the student enrollment, the first step to improve the student enrollment is to get everyone to stay. So I think the community, the word of mouth, and the retention all kind of feeds into that as well. Okay, so those are 6 main areas of evaluating the school. And as I mentioned, as you go into a school, it's just very helpful to try and get a little bit of data, maybe on each one, just to get a touch point so you know roughly where that school is, because every school, as I mentioned, is on a different part of the journey. But it is interesting, if you can go into a school, then some of these can lead into each other. 1 or 2 of them can be a starting point. And my honest advice for a principal is that if you can look at a strong area of these 1 to 6, then it's a wonderful place to start from. And I've been in situations where maybe 1 or 2 of these areas are strong, and then you can use them to then build up strategically the other areas of the school as well. So again, this is the point for sure. One of the examples I'll give is that I was a principal in a wonderful group of schools, and I was principal of a school in Ljubljana, Slovenia, and I joined there in March 2018. That's a picture of the school. The school, fabulous place, Slovenia to live, wonderful people. The school in March 2018, again, was going through a transition, and basically it was a school that met requirements with the inspection that it had in the kind of the 2017 latest inspection. It was inspected before that twice as well, and it also met the criteria, but it was a school that was waiting to move to the next level, if not even higher as well. But Ljubljana, a wonderful place to be, and a great challenge for me to take. And that was a starting point to come to the school and then go through these 6 areas and figure out how we maneuver a school forward from a meets requirements international school with the facility you see in front of you to a thriving school realizing some of its potential. So I looked at those 6 areas, and I've highlighted in orange, in yellow, as it could be on some screens, basically some areas that I looked at. So I looked at the inspection reports, and as I mentioned, the school opened in 2008. It had 3 inspections every 3 years, an inspection, and it met requirements in each of the inspections, including the last inspection before I arrived in 2017. There's a huge amount of pressure on inspections because these are published, and your name as a principal, and also obviously teachers can be referred to with their subjects and lessons and different things. So there's a huge amount of pressure to kind of do well in inspections, and you want to do well. You want to do well for the team, for the students, for the community, for the families, and for everybody as well. So the inspection reports was a good place to start from, and that was the current situation. So the current state was meets requirements, and then the desired state to improve the school was aiming for the next stage up, which would have been good in that category. Finance and growth. Again, it was a school that was going through a bit of a journey. It had moved site, so financially it was challenging. We had to then look at commitments, loans, and kind of organize what kind of finance plan for the next 3 to 5 years we'd look towards, how we'll get all the money in from the fees and debt collection, how you spend prudently on staff, how we kind of maintain the operating costs, and how we balance the kind of student enrollment, but also allow us to invest in things as well. So that was a very good data collection to look through the finance and the growth of the school. Facilities, the first impression, it looks like a bit of an office block, to be quite honest. Lots of classrooms, which is a positive. Key areas, we didn't have a canteen for the students to eat their food. It had a multi-purpose area, which doubled up as a hall, CBD, meeting area, PE area, dance area, all in one, and also a drop-off pickup area as well. So the facilities were, and it was obviously something we could work on. The outside space was limited. There was a playground yard, a concrete area outside. So this is something that we needed to look at. Student outcomes, the academic outcomes, where students were in very small classes were good, but overall the outcomes were okay. The reason why I mentioned some of the classes is because that when you look at student outcomes, it's always interesting to see the amount of students in the classes, the average class size. So, for example, in some schools, you might look at cohorts where the average class size is around 20. It's a good data sample. You have 20 in each class, hundreds of students. That's a great data sample. But in some schools, and this was one of them, where some of the A-level classes had 1 student, 2 students, 3 students, then again, you would expect the students to make good progress. You would expect the students to achieve, their CAT 4 target and exceed that, especially with 1 person or 2 people in the room being taught by 1 teacher. So again, the academic outcomes, I would say, okay, good for the very small classes, but overall, I would say okay areas we could improve. And the quality assurance, it was an opportunity because the school didn't have any accreditations, for example, that you could look at when it comes to curriculum, when it came to EAL, when it came to well-being. There were no accreditations for things like this, but there were accreditations in groups of schools. So it was in a group of schools that we paid into, obviously for an accreditation. So that was a good opportunity to really use the power of all of those schools to improve the school as well. The community, the staff retention was an issue. Lots of staff, because of the quality of education, because it wasn't labelled as a good school on the inspection reports. It didn't have the latest resources in class. The facilities weren't great. The students did okay, did well in class. It didn't feel like the staff wanted to stay there long term, and the staff retention showed that. A lot of staff wanted to leave. The parental engagement was, I would say, was good. Parents were desperate for the school to do well. They loved living in the city. It was a great place to live, a really wonderful community, but it needed change and it needed improvement. And sometimes people want change, but they don't want things to change. They want to keep the kind of the calmness and the steady nature and the continuity, but they also want things to change as well. So it's a bit of a problem. So that was my initial kind of starting point. Fast forward 3 years. This was the new building extension. So 3 years of hard work by the entire team, a lot of people working together, a lot of effort, a lot of time, exceptional staff. The leadership team, myself as principal, had 5 people in the leadership team. 3 of the 5 were in the journey all the way through, which is very pleasing because a lot of time people can go into a school and then try and change too much too quickly. But this was probably, one of the highlights of my career, one of the best kind of moments ever to see a team of people who had been a part of the school for years, had seen all of the changes, and it wasn't just somebody coming in saying, I think the school's better. It was the people who had been there since the school's inception and seen the school go through a journey, a challenge, and then this was the overall outcome to deliver a building. So the facilities had improved immeasurably. New facilities, stunning classrooms, 60, 70-meter square classrooms, which looked fantastic. Again, pictures of the new building, and then outstanding in every single category for our report. And now this is something that is obviously published online. So a lot of people, again, as I mentioned, it's a huge amount of pressure to go into schools, one that we all enjoy, but nonetheless, it's a huge amount of pressure to move from a school that had met requirements on 3 occasions to then accelerate above, through, good in every category, to then accelerate through good with outstanding, to outstanding, but outstanding in every single category. All 8 categories rated as outstanding was a truly amazing kind of achievement by everyone. And as I mentioned, the team were very emotional and very happy. Again, it was just a wonderful, wonderful kind of achievement. A couple of the points from the published report. The British International School of Liana meets all of the standards for the British schools. And then fast forward to the next inspection, the British International School of Liana is an outstanding school, is held in high regard by the community. Strong, thoughtful leadership. The school has maintained a sharp focus on continuous improvement since the last BSO inspection. The school has actioned all the previous recommendations very effectively. The standards achieved by the students of Bristol are excellent and outstanding curriculum, excellent teaching, and high quality attention to students' care that lead to high standards across the school. And the students are happy, confident, friendly, well-behaved, enthusiastic learners. So some wonderful, wonderful comments through the entire change. It isn't just applying a change management strategy to schools. Also, change management works across other industries. So, for example, some information for you to read about Starbucks, but essentially, this is one of the ideas that I kind of tried, which was to give that feedback, to really give that opportunity for parents, for everybody, to share ideas, to give them a voice, to open up surveys, feedback, coffee mornings, and listen to as many different people as possible. And again, Starbucks did a similar idea, over 90,000 ideas that Starbucks did. And again, this was a great way to really boost Starbucks. I mean, you can see it's a success story, and it's one of the companies that successfully implemented change. The link is there if you want to read through it. So again, one of the things that I did was really open it up to the community to get as many different people as vocal as possible, ideas, feedback, all the different things, and really open up and be as transparent as possible. Netflix, again, those of you who might remember kind of video rental stores, Netflix needed to make a change. It understood that it needed to go through a change management cycle, and it needed kind of people to lead that. It had to embrace change, and it wouldn't be the success it is today if it didn't make those radical changes as well. So basically, again, it's looking at being ready for the change, having a plan for change, and that's a great kind of story about a success for Netflix as well. Domino's, obviously, Domino's basically went through a kind of a bit of a tough time, and as you can see, its stock had plummeted to an all-time low. And basically, it focused on its own brand and then basically invested in new technologies, lots of new different ideas, text messaging, Alexa, Google Home, Twitter, Facebook, all different ways for everybody to order pizza and then harness the consumer data. Again, in a school, one of the things that I was kind of trying to bring in a lot of was harnessing the use of technology, but also social media, through apps and through different social media channels, through kind of blogs and articles and videos, open days, enrichment days, and trying as many different ways as possible, virtual tours, all the different ways, online kind of meetings with parents, online enrollment with parents as well, online tours, Q&A online, updates every week online as well, little videos. So lots of different digital operations that we kind of brought in as well, and that really helped to kind of to boost the community. And again, there's an excellent kind of reference there for you to look at. A great change leader creates other change leaders. It's an excellent quote, and Dr. John Kotter is someone who I've kind of referenced quite a bit, and again, some of the material I'm going to use in this presentation. At the end of the presentation, I'll give a few takeaways and what I'm going to do for you to use. But during the presentation, I'm going to highlight those. And 2 of the 5 are highlighted on the screen. So start, stop, continue is one I've kind of mentioned, which is when you don't go into a school or you don't go into a company and try and start too many things, don't change too many things. Get a balance, continue those strengths, making sure that you believe, that everyone believes that we're going to continue what the company or what the school is doing well. So continue those strengths, start some kind of, quick wins, some things that we're going to do well, stop those things that are taking up teacher time, getting in the way of student outcomes, impacting negatively learning. Stop those things, but get a balance between start, stop, and continue. I use that model, but it's not one of my 2 recommendations from this page. Guskey's 5 levels of PD evaluation. Some of you might have seen this, when basically it's a rubric to then show some in-house or some kind of external PD, professional development, and how you can measure the impact on the participants, on the students, and on the overall school as well. That's something that I really recommend, and I'll put a link in for you to have a look at, that you really have a look at. I think it's useful. And then Kotter's 8-step change model is probably one of my top recommendations. This basically takes you step by step through any change management, and it's a proven model. It's one that I've used several times, and I couldn't recommend it highly enough. Nudge theory, giving away all my secrets now, but nudge theory is another kind of strategy that I've used to bring people on board, to celebrate those quick wins, and to influence people by giving them subtle choices and subtle changes, so that again they can see the benefits of what you're doing. And then the Lewin 3-step change model, again, unfreeze, kind of check, and then freeze is something that I've used in the past as well. So the unfreeze, the change, the check, freeze again, and then continue those checks over time. Always do the check, are those kind of important areas as well. So 2 of those I'm going to recommend in the takeaways at the end, but all 5 of these are actually brilliant kind of models to use. So this is the Kotter 8-step change model. Create urgency, form a powerful coalition, create a vision for change, communicate the vision, remove obstacles, create short-term wins, build on the change, anchor the changes in culture. And I've put a link at the bottom of the page as well. This could have been a really good model for you to use if you're looking at a transformational kind of change. If you're a transformational leader, then again, that's about bringing everybody along, creating everybody creating a team together and making everyone believe together and developing everyone. I think that is a good way of working against the kind of autocratic leader who could be working, who could then basically impact happiness in a school, could lead to retention of staff and removing people away from the decision-making process. So I think that transformational leader is a real exciting approach. Also mixed in with a little bit of servant leadership, where you are helping and serving and developing those team members. So I think when it comes to leadership styles, those are 3 things that probably are worth looking at. And also outside of this video, looking a little bit further into the leadership styles as well. The measure of intelligence is the ability to change. So the impact. So basically, the quality of education, coming back to the 6 strategies, quality of education, as you've kind of seen in the previous slides, outstanding in every category, a 5-year strategic plan created, 3 years of progress, everything evidence, cleared all debts, positive EBITDA, all the fees collected, 20 new classrooms, makerspace rooms, library, performance theatre, 10 music rooms, woodland area, a rooftop terrace, mountain views, and the student outcomes were sensational. The IGCSEs, 65% AA star, A level, 75% AA star, 1.5 grades added, value added, and 2.02 grades added, value added. The 1.05 is for GCSE grades, and the 2.02 grades value added is for A level grades. 100% university placements achieved at the university, first choice university of the student. And then over 700,000 euros of university scholarships, which is wonderful. Quality assurance, adding in not just a Bell Foundation accreditation, but an exemplary level Bell Foundation accreditation for EAL students, 2 wellbeing awards, curriculum awards, 30% increase in student enrollments, and over 90% satisfaction on surveys. So again, that's a wonderful piece of quality assurance. In the community, over 90% of parents recommended the school, so that's that word of mouth, really building the school. Over 70% attended school events, parents' evenings, open evenings, and so forth. And 20% of the community attended coffee and open morning. So it's really good to get everybody in to give that kind of opportunity to open up the feedback, the kind of conversation. And if you have any changes in school, to give those reasons for the changes as well. The secret of change is to focus all of your energy not on fighting the old, but on building the new. Change is inevitable. The curriculum has changed, the examinations have changed, teaching and learning, has brought in new changes. The new science of learning information now is incredible, and it's very exciting for all teachers. The use of technology, that has changed. The change is inevitable. It's about how we can adapt and we can be flexible to bring in that kind of change and use it effectively to transform and enhance the learning as well. If you can laugh together, you can work together. It's a lovely quote. I've been very fortunate to work with amazing people, and I would say that we've been professional first. Everyone's worked very hard, put in a lot of time, and the outcomes speak for themselves. But also, if you can get the professional side right first, then after that, if you work with good people, then it can be, just amazing. It can be so rewarding and enjoyable, and an absolute pleasure to go to school. Here are the 5 takeaways at the end. So to create an effective evaluation, 5 takeaways, you have that list of 6 areas, but also my 5 areas that I would add to that as a strategy would be to create a change management plan, look at the Kotter 8-step process, invest in professional development. You can contact me for any professional development ideas. I'd be very happy to answer anything, but Guskey's kind of evaluation model is a wonderful rubric that's already ready for you to use. Share a vision and build trust. Obviously, Covey Speed of Trust is an excellent reference to that. Say you're going to do something and do it. Make commitments and see those commitments through. Develop emotional intelligence skills. Salovey and Mayer, again, there's videos on emotional intelligence in the playlist as well if you look at. And embed consistency. This is James Clear, the habits as well. So 5 areas for you to look at in grey brackets, the further reading. These, as well as the 6 areas of evaluation, should hold you in good stead for moving to a school, evaluating a school, joining a new school, and just getting an idea of where that school is. Okay, thank you very much as well for joining me today. My name is Dr. Paul Walton, and I've really enjoyed talking through this presentation with you. Please get in touch if you have any questions about change management. As I've mentioned during the video, also look at leadership styles, also look at emotional intelligence, and so forth. Look forward to seeing you again, and thank you very much for joining me. Thank you. Goodbye.